Hey guys, Evan from Stock Music Musician, and today I've got a review of Spitfire Audio's Solo Strings. This is a brand new solo string product. Basically, it simulates classical strings or even sort of modern classical strings, all recorded individually, and it sounds absolutely amazing. So right up there and down below, I'll have a link to demos that I've created of the product. But I found that some people only want to hear the demos, some people only want to hear the reviews. So if you want to hear the demos, go click on that link. But this is the video for the review, which is where I'm just giving you my 2 cents on this. So I've owned one other Spitfire product, Albion one, and that was great. But that's like massive orchestras, and you don't really have like it's great for texture, but you don't have any nuance where you can really add lead or melodic parts, or even just smaller, more gentle string parts. And that's where solo strings comes in. I don't have a ton of experience orchestrating, and I also am not great at programming strings, getting everything to work right, to sound natural, and to swell, and do all those things that you really need to make just a virtual instrument sound more like a realistic instrument. And so, what I want to talk about in this review first is the quality of the samples and what's provided, and then also just to talk about how easy it is to use. But before we go any farther, be sure to like and subscribe to this video if you want more tips on how to actually use these strings. I'm going to be making a series of videos actually creating a song from scratch using these strings, so be sure to subscribe so you can see that. That'll probably come out in the next week. And all right, let's talk about the sounds. First of all, what is included in this? Well, there are a bass patch, a cello, a viola, and 3 different lead violins, basically, lead violins. And they all sound fantastic. Now, you have a couple of options for how you want to load these into Kontakt. And I believe you need the full Kontakt player, not the free Kontakt player, although I could be wrong. You're going to want to check on that. And so once you load these into Kontakt, just a second. That's better. Once you load these into Kontakt, you have the option of either loading a patch that has all of the articulations included for each instrument. So you'd load the bass patch, and there'd be basically a switch where you could choose between whether you wanted, CS or pizzicato or Bartok pizzicato. And there's probably like a dozen articulations for each instrument. So you're really able to dig in and find the sound that you want, which is great. But the patches that have all of the articulations selectable from the front panel are definitely, more draining on your CPU, as opposed to if you know the specific articulation you want, you can also just load that patch in, and you don't get any of the other samples, and so it's much more lightweight. And using Reason 10, which doesn't really run VSTs very well, I've easily had 8 or 9, maybe even 10 of these open at once and had no problems with performance. So in the individual articulations, they run really well. I have not had any issues with it. And it's not terrible when you've got all of them loaded in, but it is more draining. So it includes a wide range of articulations for all the instruments you need. And these are recorded just incredibly well. Great players, great space. I guess it's at Air Hall, which I guess is one of the best spaces around. Recorded with the best gear to tape, and then sent to you. And you have 3 different mic choices. So it's close, a tree mic, and then an ambient mic. And you can mix them to your pleasure, which is great, because you can get the sound you want, whether you're doing something modern or more chamber style. It really helps get the sound that you need. And you still might want to throw some reverb on, even with a lot of the ambiance bleeding in. So, great sounds. And a wide range. Like I said, there's 3 different violins, which all play and sound very differently. And you're going to need to just experiment to find which ones you want for each song. But they offer a lot of power, and they also keep your songs from sounding all the same. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is just like the programming. And I find this to be incredibly easy to use as a virtual instrument, basically. That it's really easy based on the programming they've done behind the scenes to make realistic sounds, which I have had a lot of trouble with strings, especially solo strings. They tend to sound fake when I've used other string patches in the past, but solo strings I'm able to get really, really great sounds out of really easily just by using my mod wheel and a volume controller. And so, like I said, if you want to hear that, go check out the demos down below. And like I said, that includes the ability to mix between various mics to get a more realistic sound. It also includes an ostinato, which is, or ostinatum, maybe, plural, singular, whatever. That is like an arpeggiator, and I don't find it that useful, at least in Reason. A, because it doesn't remember where the saved patches are, but B, an issue is if let's say you're using like the Bartok pizzicato and you program in your own ostinato, and then you're like, actually I think this should maybe be staccato instead, and you load in a staccato patch, it loses the arpeggiated programming, and so you have to start from scratch. And I find that to be a little annoying, so probably I would recommend, and maybe this is just a Reason thing. Again, I've only used it in Reason, so I can't say. But it might be more useful to do your programming outside of the VST instead of inside it. But overall, I would give this a 10 out of 10, a 5 out of 5, a 4 out of 4, 2 thumbs up. It is a incredible string library for those lead string parts that just sound really authentic, detailed, close. You really can't get better than that. And so I would totally recommend it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and be sure to like and subscribe for more tips on strings, reviews, and all sorts of other music production stuff. Cheers.